Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I tie an ant. Not necessarily a nymph, not necessarily a dry fly. I kind of fish this right in the middle of the water column, so it's okay to have a little weight. You know, you can add some lead wire in there if you want. Sometimes I will add some lead wire in the middle, but for this one I'm not going to. So like I said, this is an ant. I'm going to do a red ant. You could do black, you could do brown, you could do really anything you want, but we're going to start out here with the Daiki 1180 dry fly hook in size 12. And I'm going to start here with some ultra thread 140 denier in black. Now, if you watch my last video, you'll know I made a couple comments and just kind of was highlighting the fact that, you know, what you read is not always true. You can really use any kind of thread for any kind of fly. I used the saltwater thickness thread on a small nymph and it was fine. And here's another example of that. Now 140 denier is not really super oversized for this size hook, but it is a little bit of overkill. Now I'm just using this 140 denier as a thread base to kind of get the shape that I want here. And that's why I'm doing that. So be sure keep flattening your thread. That's very important on this step here as we kind of build up the back of this body. And really we just want to kind of create a bubble back here. Probably have to spin your thread a couple of times. And really, see, I don't like how those last couple went on. You want a very clear demarcation between where that bubble begins and where the rest of the body is. So take some time here, do it correctly. Sorry, I'm slipping off the back, that'll happen, but I just really want to get this a little bit thicker before I switch over here. And of course, mentioned that in my last video as well, with the smaller thread, what I just did there, catching that thread on the hook, it'll cut that right off. So you got to be careful of that. But for our purposes here, I like that. So I'm going to bring my thread back to the front, and then I can whip finish this because we're going to be done with that black thread. Okay, couple turn whip finish is fine. We're going to tie it all in anyways. So readjust your hook in the vise. So you can see I kind of have a little bit built up there. Now I'm going to go to the Semperfli in the claret color. It's like a wine color. This is 12-aught thread or 70 denier, whatever you want to call it. Probably a little better to call things by denier. So now I'm going to come in, and this is where we're going to get the color of our fly. That black was really just kind of allowing us to build up without wasting too much time and too much thread. And now make sure your thread's flat as you go over this. Just go ahead and go over. These don't have to be overly tight. You know, you're not cranking anything down. I sometimes will let a little of that black show through as well. Because once we put some resin on here, it's going to hide it. So that's actually pretty good there. Bring our thread back up to the front. We'll go with a little bit of UV resin. And this is where you want to kind of, for this one, just leave it centered there. One good sized dollop on the top there, very light. And of course it's going to run down a little bit. Don't be discouraged about that. It's actually fine. It's going to save me from flipping over and putting the dot on the bottom. So I let that one run down. And the biggest trick I've found with this fly and this pattern in particular is doing this. So now that I have this, and you know it's going to run because you just saw the other side, I put another little drop on there. I don't like that bubble. I really don't like that bubble. Come on now. There we go. And I let that kind of fall down to the top. Sorry for the shake. And I cure that. Very good. So really this is a very simple pattern. It's just a matter of kind of creating yourself that bubble on the back to get the kind of ant look. So now I'm going to take a little bit of some dry fly hackle here. It's size 12 in like a brown grizzly color. And so I assume if any of you have found my videos, probably not the first fly tying video you've watched. So I assume you know how to tie in dry hackle. If you don't, I'll show you right now. I've stripped the top and I've stripped a little bit off the bottom, nothing crazy. And I actually want to take this back right to where that ends. And we're going to go around here and grab that like that. We're going to come in front of this, and then we're going to come in front of this. So we kind of tie that in perpendicular, and then I can just kind of wind this forward down the shank there. So these are going to be the legs of the ant, if you will. Snip that off there. Go ahead and just tack that in right there. And I like to kind of leave my thread where I think I want this to end. So I'm going to want that to end about right there. And since I have that piece I cut off, we're going to be just fine here. Now we can bring that hackle forward. Bring that hackle forward. Gonna try not to trap it. I always use hackle pliers for this step. I don't really think they're necessary. I think I went over that in the last video. But now once I get here, I know I only want a couple more wraps. So for the sake of keeping this fly clean, I'm going to strip a little bit of that off here. So then I can go 1, maybe 2 more wraps. And on the third wrap, if you notice, I have a bare hackle stem. So I can kind of go in here now and grab that. I can pinch this all back, and I can tie down this hackle stem. Very good. I also kind of play around with the hackle size. This hackle's a size 12. I can't remember if I mentioned that or not, but size 12 for a size 12 hook, you know, not necessarily the greatest. I would actually prefer like a size 14 so that the proportions are a little better. But you're gonna make do with what you have sometimes, and I'm out of size 14 hackle. So now I just like to kind of come up here and create a head. And really, the hardest part about this whole fly is right now, and it's keeping the hackle out of your way. You have hackle clamps or hackle guards. You can use those at this point. Once again, like a lot of things, honestly, I don't really see the need. Oh, trapped a hackle fiber there, and I'm not happy about that. Sometimes it's actually easier to go from the side. It allows you to kind of pinch both sides and get down there a little better. So go ahead and flatten this out. Get a little bang for our buck there. Just kind of bring that forward, and you want 85% of your wraps to be kind of focused towards the body so that you can build up a nice taper of how a head would be, right? So once you get that, kind of like that right there. Whoops, sorry. Still working on figuring out this holder here that I have. But so there we are there. I'm gonna go ahead and whip finish this and start it in the middle. Pretty good. Start it, 2, 3. Now that's not going anywhere. You don't necessarily have to do this with any fly, really, unless it's like a nymph. But like I said, this is going to kind of be in the middle of the water column. Let me see if I can get that out of there. Probably not, but it's worth a shot. Come in here with my dental pick and see if I can pull that hackle fiber out real quick. And that's going to bother me. Well, sometimes you gotta bust out the old cheaters, which I'm doing right now. Off camera, you guys just can't see. Okay, it's out. Very good. All right, so we got a little bit of a head built there. And now we can UV resin that. And really, put a very, very minimal amount on the front. And you can kind of use this to create the shape of your head. Especially if you didn't get it quite as thick, which I didn't get mine quite as thick. But this right here is a good looking fly. And it'll fish well. I can guarantee you that. Not a lot of ant imitations out there outside of foam body types, or some with rubber legs. So this is my version, and I like it. I wouldn't really be making a video if I didn't, right? But last step here, just everything's good. Just kind of brush out those fibers if you want to. Make sure they're all standing up correctly. And that's it. That is the red ant fly on a size 12. So thank you everyone for watching once again. Really appreciate it. Hope you all are having a great day. Thank you very much. Bye.